Um, so I wanted to start this introduction with one of my favorite quotes from the last few years, and I'm quoting Dr. Dylan Brown, who's here with us, when he said, in working together with the CYPT to analyze the Waterloo Region Youth Impact Survey, we have been blown away by the power of belonging. It is showing up as one of the best predictors of child and youth well-being. When even when I read that today, I get chills at that we had, that we have found one way that is, really provides us with important information as we advance our belonging work. So just want to say thank you to everyone for being here. I'm Barb Cardo. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the Children Youth Planning Table, and Goranka Vukalic is my counterpart, and she's on this call as well. But looking forward to spending our last half hour this morning with you, just learning and hearing about and celebrating the 2023 Youth Impact Survey. So welcome Dr. Dylan Brown from the Whole Family Lab at the University of Waterloo, and to Fidelia, Fidelia, thank you,
Ukweje.
Thank you.
Ukweje. Yeah.
Thank you, from the CYPT staff team. So I'll turn it over to the two of you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bob. And good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Fidelia Ukweje. I'm one of the backbone, I'm part of the backbone staff team of the Children and Youth Planning Table. And I'm excited to be here today with Dr. Dylan Brown from the Whole Family Lab to talk about the third circle of the Youth Impact Survey and how we got here. For the benefit of those who may know about the Youth Impact Survey or have been hearing about the Youth Impact Survey and do not know what it's about, I will do a quick overview and I'll pass it on to Dr. Dylan Brown to talk about the survey itself and the data that we're starting to see. So I am going to start my presentation by saying, we did it. So yeah, celebrate with us, because honestly, the survey launched on May 1st and we literally closed it just yesterday, June 12th. And I must say that it has been a long 5 and almost 6 weeks of hard and good work, actually months of hard but good work, good, amazing work, lots of learning opportunity. And I'm going to take this moment to celebrate the backbone staff team, like amazing set of individuals, just 6 people who, in conjunction with our youth connectors, which I'm also celebrating, our youth ambassadors, the steering committee, partners at table, our voting members, grassroots organizations, Whole Family Lab, just celebrating everyone who took time to work with us to put this survey out, and the school boards too. Amazing. Thank you so very, very much. And with that, I'm going to go right into the Youth Impact Survey. What is the Youth Impact Survey and why is it important to the work that we do here at the CYPT? The goal of the survey itself is to help us understand what life is like for children and youth in our community, and and how we can work together to make it better for them. The Youth Impact Survey for us is an opportunity to hear firsthand from young people about their well-being, and we use that information, as a collective to make better decisions. Currently, it is the best tool that we have to hear firsthand from a diverse mix of young children, from young adults or youth from age 9 to 18 across the community. So it's been fantastic. And again, like I said, good work, meaningful work. And the tool itself covers the 9 domains of child and youth well-being, not just one aspect of their lives, but it cuts across multiple aspects of their lives. And these are domains that young people themselves have told us matters and is very crucial when we talk about their well-being. And how did it start? In 2017, UNICEF Canada created something called the Index of Child and Youth Well-being. They consulted with young people across the country, including Waterloo region, on what matters for well-being. Out of that consultation, the 9 domain of well-being, which I just showed in the previous slide, was created. UNICEF Canada knew that, and this is an important tool for communities to understand how young people are doing in relation to community level, how young people are doing, right? So this survey was created to hear directly from young people themselves, not from parents, not from teachers, but directly from young people. They partnered with the Canadian Index of Wellbeing, a research group, to start drafting this survey. Now, after drafting that survey, they knew that piloting was very crucial. And the Ontario Trillium Foundation, OTF, was interested in being a partner, and they supported financially. Now, they needed the community to pilot that survey and test this tool. And they reached out to CYPT, and we agreed. And that's how we came on board and became part of this, this survey. And so in 2020, the pilot phase happened. The goal in 2020 was to hear from 300 children and youth, and that's just to validate the tool. There was no intention to share the data. It was just to test and validate that tool. But COVID-19 happened, but that did not deter us as a team. We kept on going, and the survey was deployed virtually. At the end of the day, we got 297 usable response. Even though we were on lockdown, that data was released in form of data briefs. Fast forward to 2021, we became one of 4 demonstration communities across Canada, working with UNICEF to continue to test and refine this tool. To improve learning from 2020, we decided to hire 3 young people to deploy the survey and promote it, as well as partake in sense-making sessions. And again, the lockdown continued, so we went ahead and we deployed it virtually. The goal in 2021 was to hear from 1,000 young people, but we got 1,047 usable response. And now here we are, 2023. We partnered with Whole Family Lab, who have become a new data partner from the University of Waterloo, in person of Dr. Dylan Brown, who will be speaking shortly. We continued with our best practice of hiring 3 youth connectors. But in addition to that, having learned from 2020, we moved a step further, and this year we brought on 12 additional youth ambassadors who worked with us all through the month of May, up until even currently, but up until the end of June. And they did phenomenal. They were in every spaces at school and communities, promoting and talking about the Youth Impact Survey. You may have even caught some of them on the radio shows and all. This year also, we explored new ideas and relationships. We collaborated with both the public school board and the Catholic school board. We went through their ethics process, got their approval, and we promoted the Youth Impact Survey in schools in form of survey parties. And that to be very, very useful, and it's a relationship that we'll continue to build on. Again, the survey was deployed virtually, but because we're no longer in the pandemic, we made available accessible paper versions of the survey. And that's to ensure that we captured as many data, not leaving anyone out. We did not want to leave anyone out. That was very intentional. Our aim this year was to get 3,000 responses. We're very ambitious at CYPT, so we tripled the number. We did not meet that quota, but I'm happy to say that we heard from over 2,000 children and youth, and we're just beyond happy with that. So the Youth Impact Survey is not just a survey. It is a journey for us at CYPT. And I say it is a journey because there's so many layers to it, so many components to it, which is very important to the work that we do. And I'm going to be running quickly through all of those this 4-part journey. So like we've just completed the survey part, which closed yesterday. And the next phase that we're moving into is the knowledge mobilization, which is, we're going to be doing this through resources such as our data brief, the snapshots, and as well going into communities for presentation. Followed by that is the 3rd phase of the journey, which is the sense-making session and action planning. So together with our youth connectors and the backbone staff, we will engage in sense-making sessions with youth to better understand the data that we're seeing and collaboratively work with them to come up with meaningful action and what that looks like. The final step to the journey is the action part. So this is where primarily as adults and decision makers, we are going to be working with youth, with what youth have shared with us to kind of move from ideation stage to action. We're taking what I've heard from the survey and sense-making sessions, and we're going to work to see how we can move that into action and actually bring to light what the children and youth have shared with us about what meaningful change looks like. That being said, what that looks like right now is that we are currently on phase 4 of the 2021 cycle, overlapping phase 1 of the 2023 cycle, which is not bad in itself. But what we have decided as a collaborative moving forward is that we're going to have a 3-year interval to go through this journey from the surveying part to the action part. So moving forward is going to be like a 3-year interval. The next time we're going to run the survey will be in tentatively 2026. But between now and then is we're going to go through this journey to moving from the surveying part, the knowledge mobilization to action part. And that action is very important to us as a collaborative, because anytime we go into communities, the first question we're asked is, what are you doing with the data that you're collecting? And we really want to be accountable to the children and youth that we serve by being able to point out to some key actionable actions that we're taking to say, this is what we're doing with the data that we're gathering and that you've provided. And that being said, I'm going to move and pass this on to Dr. Dylan Brown to talk about what we've seen and what we're seeing with the 2023 Youth Impact Survey.
Thanks, Fidelia. And Barb, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm just going to be speaking very briefly around some very preliminary findings, I guess you could even say, around representativeness of the survey. And I want to stress the preliminary nature of this. The survey literally just closed. So when I'm going to be presenting a few numbers to you, I'm not going to be putting up proportions. We're just going to be having raw number of survey responses up there, because our final number will probably bounce around a little bit. Between, in Fidelia's circle there, between 1 and 2, there is a data cleaning process that we're going to begin to undertake pretty much immediately. And so you can see we had a total of 2,377 responses, but there were some responses that come in these types of exercises that need to be filtered out due to things like incompletion or ineligibility. So there might be a person who responded to the survey who then indicated that they were outside of the age range or outside of the region of Waterloo. And so they're going to keep changing a little bit. It looks like we cleared that 2,000. I'm seeing people respond in the chat right now. Absolutely, what a remarkable collective effort. All of the organizations, CYPT, the backbone staff, Allison and Fidelia. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge some of our University of Waterloo students as well. We have Imogen Sloss on the call right now, who's the lab manager of the Whole Family Laboratory, and also Jasmine Zong, who is a graduate student of mine. And it was just a remarkable effort. We were working collaboratively together the whole way through. And let's take a look here. So this is the breakdown by municipality. And if you have in your head, we don't have those figures up there for you, but if you have in your mind the different absolute size of the different municipalities, Kitchener being the largest, that's kind of what we see in the breakdown here. And what we're really excited to report this year, given our larger number, we have some pretty good representation from the townships as well. So in the past, we had to kind of collapse across the townships, and it looks like we're not going to have to do that this year because we have a sufficient sample size within each of the townships that we'll be able to look at those individually. So yay, townships. Okay, moving along, you can see our age distribution. So we're seeing that the majority, the average age there around 14, the majority being kind of mid to later adolescence, but also some really great representation down in the younger years as well, 9, 10, and 11 as well. So that's great. Of course, the survey covers young people ages 9 to 18, and looks like we're getting a good spread there. Basically, a mirroring across the grades from what we see with the age distribution, kind of what we would expect. Also a handful of young people in college and university, and also a handful of youth who are not currently in school. Here we have a data decomposition for gender identity. And we see that the majority of respondents identify as either girls or boys, though we do have a lot of representation from other categories as well. We still need to dig in a little bit. We in this iteration of the survey, we had an open field response where we were allowing youth to self-describe, and we haven't had a chance to look into that data yet, but we will absolutely be looking at that as well. Similar with sexual orientation, we have the majority of young people identifying as straight, but we have a lot of representation from other sexual orientations as well, bisexual, asexual, I'm not sure. Also, youth who just preferred not to answer that question, which was an option. You'll notice that this question is not going to add up to 2,000, and that's because we weren't asking sexual orientation of our youngest survey respondents. Similar with our race data, we have the largest single category being survey respondents who identified as white. But if you were to stack all those other bars on top of one another, if you were to look at proportionality, we're seeing something that actually does more or less represent the most recent census of Waterloo region in terms of racial composition as well. Very pleased to report that we also have more Indigenous and First Nation survey respondents than we've ever had in the past 2 permutations. Okay, of course, race and ethnicity aren't the same thing. And so with ethnic origin, we have, again, a wonderful diversity and kind of representation across a variety of ethnic origins, including the second largest category there after Canadian were youth who identified as other, and we have an open field there as well, and then we can kind of dig into that and explore how youth are describing their ethnic origins. And we had another question specifically for youth who identified as either First Nation or Indigenous. And there you can see that we do have youth who identify either as First Nations or another Indigenous identity, or Métis or Inuit. Okay, and this is a little bit of a teaser here. And going back, Barb, you set us up perfectly for this slide. This is a what's called a psychometric network analysis from the 2021 survey. And we're just putting this, finishing putting this together right now. And I wanted to show you, and so basically this is a statistical and graphical representation of how select items from the 2021 survey kind of cluster together. And in red there on the left, you'll see things that reflect mental health and also life satisfaction. In those light blue bubbles, we have kind of going clockwise at the top, family, perceptions of support, friend perceptions of support, and then relationships with teachers. And then a couple of other things in there like neighborhood safety, experiences of discrimination, subjective social class, physical health, and of course, gender. And what we're seeing here is that, as we would expect, that belonging is kind of at the middle of all of this. And so we might say that belonging is a bridge node or kind of a central construct in youth well-being. So it's not just a theoretical proposition. This is something that we're actually empirically seeing in the data. Belonging does seem to be at the heart of youth well-being, and this is something that our youth are telling us and that we're able to put into a beautiful portrait like this, brought to you by some other University of Waterloo psychology students. So really exciting stuff. More of this will be coming out in addition to the data briefs, and we're just really excited to be part of this project. And that leaves us a little bit of time to have some Q&A about the survey. And Rosemary already asked, will we get these slides or will they be posted on the web? I think Fidelia, you can probably answer that.
Yes, we are happy to make the slides available.
Okay.
There's been lots of comments in the chat. Are there any, very supportive, excited comments? Does anybody have any questions or other comments they'd like to bring forward?
Barb, it's Granka. Just a reminder to everyone that the slides and the recordings will be available to all.
Great. Thanks, Garanka.
Barb, I just want to say thank you so much to Dr. Dillon and to Fidelia and the rest of the team for giving us this data and even just this very preliminary look. It's really exciting to sort of see, considering it just closed, what some of that data is. So no questions yet, but I'm sure we'll have lots more as more information comes available. Thank you.
Okay.
And if I could just make a comment. So in the last round, the data briefs and there was another name, sorry, the data briefs and the, what is it?
Snapshots?
Snapshots, that's right. They were just so well received by the community. They got a lot of media attention, and questions from community partners that we normally don't hear from. And so, really excited to see that impact yet again. And for community partners and the community at large to just really hear how youth are doing and to take it seriously. So, thank you, and really excited about the analysis ahead.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to add as well, Dylan, thanks so much. Belonging is such an important concept, and we know that, and it runs, that thread runs very actively, I think, through the work of all of the organizations around our, our table in our collective. And I think it's so exciting for everybody to kind of have some data to, confirm and highlight that story. As we know, we live in a world where, data does speak. And so, yeah, thank you for arming us with some information that we can bring forward as we tell our stories. So looking forward to digging deeper into some of those data that you have.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this project. And we're excited to move into the next phase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
Thanks, Fidelia, for your great work too. We're excited.
Yeah. Good pleasure.
Yeah, so Barb, I think Alice